language and composition students. This is lesson 29. I'm continuing on rhetorical strategies, but we're going to go a little faster now. And I'm not going to give you every answer for the other three types that we're focusing on right now. But I will give you some hints. All right, the second of the four types of rhetorical strategies is definition. Now this explanation is very meaningful here. If you remember it, it might help you when you're analyzing a nonfiction passage or an argument. So definition, it's not a normal way of looking at it. It identifies the class, like the type, the group, to which a specific term belongs. And then it gives you some examples of different types of definitions, like different types of groups that the word might belong to, or the term. Physical things, historical, emotional, psychological, relationships to others. There probably could be more. So, looking at definition that way does provide a new twist. So they're talking about here an essay of definition. Now, when we look at this passage, bugged us, so you'll probably have to pause and read it, but when we look at it, we find that other rhetorical strategies are in it. If you write this one down, you put EXCR, extra credit, this is its own rhetorical strategy right here. It's one of the four of the types, not definition, right? So how is the lead-in being formed? Just with rhetorical strategy. Name it, if you can. Write it down on your worksheet. But let's go on now. This is the main part of the passage. So, you have to identify the thesis, and you would underline it or write it out on your sheet. Well, it's somewhere early on right here. I'll just give you a hint that way. So that's all I'm going to say. Now, as we go further, we have another rhetorical strategy here. We could call it an anecdote, A-N-E-C-D-O-T-E. It's a little situation that is referred to, but it is one of our four types that we're focusing on right now. Definition, exemplification, process, and classification division. So which one of those is it? Write it down for extra credit. So this is a fun little passage about a person coming up with his or her own expletive instead of using a swear word. So our questions say to identify the topic for number 2. Make it concise, what you're, but make it clear still what is going on here. It's basically you would just put into words what I just said. Anything else difficult here for the questions? To what class, number 5 is very important. To what class does the word being defined belong? I have a 2-word answer. And one of the second word, like I use an adjective first, and then I just used the term before it that started with an E, so you could put that down, right? So name the category that this word bugged us belongs to. So, actually for number 6, I will give you extra credit if you get those correct. I was just explaining those earlier. And number 7, if you answer that correctly, that helps you answer number 5 correctly. You don't have to answer 8 or 9. You do not have to answer 8 or 9. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, right? So we're going to go on to process, right? So this is about the ashtrays. I think it'll be very easy to answer, like to identify the thesis. It's in there pretty quickly. What's the topic? You can just have a very easy answer there. So everything is pretty simple here. For number, you do not have to answer number 4. And there are 2 answers for number 9. I will tell you that. There are 2 answers for number 9. So do your best there. I'm going to move on to, those are my only hints on this one. And so for the last one, it's exemplification. So, anything I want to say about this? Well, it is a very informal passage, and you don't have to write that down, but the thesis statement, I'll just give you a hint. It's early on and it's a very long sentence. What is the topic of this passage? I put it in different terms than you might. It's the relationship between things. So if you were to say what rhetorical strategies are used here, yes, it's exemplification because that predominates. These are all examples from here down. But really right here there's another type of rhetorical strategy going on that is part of the thesis. So which one is it? It's not one that we're focusing on of the 4 today. But if you want to put that down and put extra credit so I can notice it, if you're right, then I'll give you credit. So that's all for those examples. Now we're going to go into quicker drilling. So you're going to really write these answers down. I'm going to give you sample paragraphs, and you're going to write down, I'll give you some hints, but you're going to write down what types you think they are. So here are our first 2 paragraphs. They're both in the same category, but can I give you any hints? So we have art films, and then we have different, if you look here, this is art films, but this is strange movies, dreamy movies, and so on, and other movie types. So here is a more general, and here are some more specific. I'm just pointing you in the right direction there. Let's look at the next paragraph. I think the hint here that will help you get the right answer, though, if you got that one correct, then this one, hopefully you will get this correct. They're both the same type. Englishes. There's a whole type of bunch of Englishes I grew up with. And we have like types of parts of different types of Englishes. So hopefully that will help you. What rhetorical strategy is the same rhetorical strategy for both of these? They're slightly different, though. We can just put the general same term for both of them. I think, right here it's pretty clear. Crime is a legal concept. Crime can be explained this way. It's not exemplification. So we have that. And we have being a hippie means so and so. So both of these, even though they're the same type of rhetorical strategy, if you can put the extra term with it and be more precise and put extra credit, and hopefully you'll get it correct, then I'll note that and give you some extra credit. Okay. So now we have the third of the 4 types that we were just going over. I think this is the hint here. this part shows the rhetorical strategy more than the earlier parts. Okay, so there's that. And that we only had one paragraph for that type. And our final one, this might be a little bit confusing. You might use process of elimination. Which of the four types is it? But this is what a Balinese mother would do. This gives you specifics, hint, for her discipline, right? To illustrate her discipline. And then we have this statement right here. And we have this specific idea to illustrate. So, one specific idea to illustrate and another specific idea to illustrate. And I'm using the term illustrate, not the actual rhetorical strategy term. All right, now, let's move on to our final. This I think you'll like, though it might be slightly difficult, but let's give it a try. So, I will make this a little bit smaller. You can actually read it. There are going to be 9 sentences here. And I want you to identify just number 1 to 9. And I want you to identify yes, I'll move it up for you too later, but which one of the 9 rhetorical strategies that I showed you at the beginning of the previous video, which one does this illustrate? So I'm going to give you a few little hints. This happens first, and then this happens as a result. So that's your hint for number 1. Right, this is the general idea, and we have these types that go under this general idea. That gives you a hint. Number 3, this word is the hint. And number 4, you might think that this is cause-effect, but it's not what they label it as. It is, that's in there. But this word, this ball, was given to me, okay? This ball. And so that focus on this right here, it's supposed to illustrate a bigger point, right? So if we have this idea, this is what helps me accomplish this, but it's not cause-effect, right? This is just one way of accomplishing this. You could look at it that way. So it's a little difficult, number 4, to get at what they're wanting you to get at. Number 5, the hand massager is this, right? So this part right here is the most important part. Don't look at this like used to strength. You might think it's cause-effect. That's not what they're getting at. One day my personal trainer presented me with this green rubber ball. All right, this happened one day is the hint here. This happened one day. This is an event that they're describing, but it's not description, okay? It's not what they're looking for. It's just one event. So see if you can figure that out. And number 7, example, first grip it and then squeeze it. It's kind of, even though it's not numbered or worded that way, there are steps there, so that's a hint. And number 8, we have detail. Detail is part of which rhetorical strategy? And this one, this is what this person believes. So that's what constitutes this type of rhetorical strategy. So hopefully those hints will help you. Thank you.